Episode 1. Hang Zoe and Floke discover the shattered wagon, and Levi Cameron's motionless body with a Titan nearby. A Jadrist offers to shoot Levi, but Hang says he is already dead. Skeptical, Floke asks to take a look himself, but before he can, the Titan begins sucking in steam. Wary, since this is not the way Titans normally die, the Jadrists point their guns at the Titan and wait until it dissolves into a skeleton, revealing Zeke Yeager and the remains of its belly. As the Jadrists stare in shock, Hang takes the opportunity to grab Levi and dive into the nearby river to escape. Most of the Jadrists pursue, but Floke remains behind to ask Zeke what happened. Zeke is uncertain, but explains he was in a strange place where a girl built his body out of soil. Time had no meaning there. He suspects he was in the paths. Since the scouts guarding Zeke have all been turned into Titans and slain, he says there is no longer anything in their way. Zeke and the Jadrists move out to join up with Aaron Jaeger. Meanwhile, in Shiganshina district, Aaron finishes his transformation into the attack Titan. As Porco Galliard's jaw Titan shields Pike Finger and Gabby Braun from the blast, Gabby is surprised that Pike is not the traitor she appeared to be in front of Aaron. Pike admits that she does not trust Marley, but she does trust the comrades she has fought alongside. In the skies above, Theo Magath guides his airships towards the blast in order to capture the founding Titan and get revenge for the raid on Liberio. Marley and soldiers parachute from the airships, bringing arms and equipment with them. On the rooftop of the headquarters, Pike lifts the hand manacle to Gabby and asks Galliard for help. He swipes at her arm with his Titan's claws, taking off the hand and splitting the pair apart. Pike screams in pain and throws herself off the roof as Galliard lunges to attack Aaron. He only keeps Aaron busy for a short while before running away, and by then Pike has changed into the cart Titan. Gabby hides in its mouth, and Pike escapes along with her. Aaron looks at the airships and suspects Rainer Braun is behind Marley's sudden appearance, since they would otherwise have too little information to act on. Below him, Yelena calls for him to leave his Titan and escape underground using the Warhammer Titan. Instead, Aaron jumps off the roof and walks his Titan into the city where Rainer is able to see him as Rainer comes down on his parachute. Rainer transforms into the armored Titan and Yelena orders the Jadrists to hurry and protect Aaron. As the two Titans engage, Magath calls Pike over and she spits out Gabby, who is reunited with Magath and Colt Grice. Gabby explains that Falco is still being held at the military headquarters and that he got some of Zek's spinal fluid in his mouth. Pike adds that there are 300 captive soldiers who have drunk the fluid as well. She suspects that the founding Titan is Aaron's trump card, but the conditions are not right for him to use it since he has not already done so. Gabby remembers overhearing a conversation after her capture on a scout airship and realizes that Aaron's plan needed a Titan of royal blood and that Zeke is the key that Aaron needs. Though surprised, the group realizes that Zek's heritage is not impossible, and they will have to keep Aaron and Zeke apart. Pike gears up for combat and Magath climbs on the mobile artillery platform on her Titan's back. Magath tells Gabby that they do not intend to kill the founding Titan and leave the problem for another generation, but to capture it and end the 2,000 years of malice. Aaron and Rainer continue fighting each other. Though the attack Titan's hardened fists shatter the faceplate around the armored Titan's head, Rainer does not go down immediately. Galliard launches an attack at the attacked Titan's back and breaks the spikes Aaron grows from his spine to defend himself. Aaron struggles with Rainer in front of him and Galliard at his back, but finally manages to free himself by stabbing the pair through with massive spikes from the ground. By now the Jadrists arrive with thunder spears and Pike and Magath fires a shell through the head of the attack Titan. The blow takes out his Titan's motor skills, allowing Rainer and Galliard to work on freeing themselves. Before the Jadrists can take them out, Marley's forces open fire. Between the soldiers on the ground and airships in the sky, the Jadrists suffer heavy losses. Yelena watches, staring, from the roof of the headquarters and Onyankopin leaves the group in a hurry, saying that the founder is going to get eaten. Though immobile, Aaron continues to defend himself from Galliard, who has broken free by using the Warhammer Titan's power, but is shelled again by Magath. The Marleyan general knows that the Warhammer Titan exhausts its power quickly and intends to wear him out. He reminds his soldiers that Willie Tiber sacrificed himself to make this attack possible, and give them space for a new hellos. Rainer breaks free and runs, Aaron through with the spike that had previously impaled him, saying that Aaron has lost and everyone has suffered enough, including Aaron himself. Inside headquarters, Onyankopin sets the imprisoned scouts free, explaining that they are currently under attack from Marley and the armored, cart, and jaw Titans are here. He is afraid Aaron is going to lose, and asks them to help. However, once free, Connie Springer grabs him by the collar and demands to know why they should listen to him. After all the betrayals he has experienced, Connie is sick of it. Before Connie can hurt him, Armin Arlelt intervenes and suggests they hear him out. Onyankopin says he did not know about the wine or the euthanization plan, and Nikalo confirms this, saying that the Marleyan prisoners of war were instructed not to speak of them to the anti-Marleyan volunteers. The reason Onyankopin joined was to have an ally with which to fight against Marley, and he says he believed that there would be a future for Parody Island, which would include children. If the euthanization plan went through, there would be no point to his efforts. Armin chooses to believe him, and Jean Kirstein does as well, but points out that helping Aaron and Zeke means the euthanization plan will come to pass. Onyankopin says they can stop the plan, but they need Aaron and Zeke to keep the island safe. He suggests showing off the rumbling to the world. When Armin asks Mikasa Ackerman what she wants to do, she says she wants to help Aaron, but as she looks morosely at her scarf she supposes that is likely because of her bloodline, and not her own will. Wanting to believe in Aaron, Armin suggests that he made that up, but Mikasa admits she does get headaches from time to time, and when Armin asks the others if Aaron really would sterilize the Eldian population, they are non-committal. Armin suggests that Aaron might be going along with the plan to prevent Yelena from acting out, since ultimately he is the one who controls the founding Titan's power, but the response is silence. Episode 2. Armin Arleld asks Mikasa Ackerman if she wants to help Eren Yeager, and she admits she does, but is concerned that it is simply because it is in her blood. However, Armin thinks both the story of the Ackerman lineage and Eren's agreement with the euthanization plan are a lie because it does not sound like something he would believe in. Jean Kirstein agrees it is out of character, but does not find it that unbelievable, and Connie Springer demands to know why Eren does not oppose Zeke Yeager and Yelena if he disagrees with them. Armin insists that it is because Eren does not have to. He is the only one who can control the founding Titan, so he is playing along to keep them from acting out and to protect Parody Island with the rumbling. Armin's reasoning gets through to them, and though Jean and Connie are unhappy about Eren's behavior, they agree to go out and save him. As Eren's friends, Nicolo, and the Braz family escape up the stairs, Mikasa asks Armin why Eren would lie and push them away. Armin has some ideas, particularly for the story about the Ackermans that he told Mikasa, but says they can ask Eren after this is over. Outside, Eren's attack titan is pinned against a building by Reiner Braun's armored titan. It roars and then summons additional spikes through the Warhammer Titan's power to drive Reiner back. Porco Galliard takes the opportunity to attack the weakened titan, but Eren punches his smaller jaw titan and hurls it away. Reiner manages to pin the attack titan to the ground, and prepares to bite into its nape when Eren reaches up and grabs the armored titan by the upper jaw to fend him off. A boulder knocks the armored titan off Eren, heralding the arrival of Zeke and his beast titan. Zeke proceeds to take out a Marleyan airship with a shot of broken boulders, and Theo Magath calls for Pikefinger to reorient her cart titan, so he can get a shot at him. She turns from her perch on top of Wall Maria to face Zeke, only to abruptly dodge another of the beast titan's rock barrages. As she hangs off the side of the wall, the Jaderists led by Floke Forster move in to flank her. Inside Shiganshina district, Eren gets up and begins limping towards the wall to meet Zeke. Gabby Braun says they have to stop him, but Colt Grice tells her to head towards their escape airship, while he looks for his brother Falco. She refuses, saying that it is her fault Falco is involved at all. In a cell with members of the military, who drank Zek's spinal fluid, Rogue demands to know what is happening outside. Nile Doc tells Falco that the Marleyan military might be here to save him. Falco doubts that they would come to rescue an Eldian, but Nile puts the situation a different way, suggesting this could be Falco's chance to go home and see his family. Nile doubts that he will get a chance to see his wife or daughters again, because one scream from Zeke will turn him into a Titan. Elsewhere in the Shiganshina military headquarters, Surma tries to stop Armin and those with him from leaving, but Jean grabs him by the shirt and demands to know if he is going to risk his life to stop them from helping Eren. Surma stands down and Connie calls for all the cells to be opened up. As other members of the military walk free, Connie finds a battered Keith Sades in a cell. Despite Connie's concern, Keith tells the young man to leave, and not to worry about him. Meanwhile, Armin and Jean reunite with Dot Pixis, who says he is alright aside from a small drinking problem, indicating the black armband that shows he drank the spinal fluid. Pixis organizes the freed soldiers and prioritizes giving the limited omnidirectional mobility gear to those without black armbands. He will personally lead those who drank the tainted wine. Louise expresses joy at fighting together again as Mikasa puts on her Autumn gear, but Mikasa is indifferent. She puts down her carefully folded scarf, to Louise's surprise, and walks out without it. Outside, Armin, Jean, Mikasa, and Connie find Yelena standing with her arms spread wide, ecstatic with how Zeke has managed to bring down the Marleyan airships. She says the moment that history will change is at hand. As they watch, Reiner tries to stop Eren from reaching Zeke, but is blown back by a barrage of rocks. Jean is shocked that Zeke is here, because that means something must have happened to Levi Ackerman. Yelena says he and Hang Zoe must have been beaten by Zeke, who promised to meet Eren at a certain time and place. Armin says they have no choice but to help the Jaderists unite the two brothers. His friend's faces turn to shock, and he looks behind him to see Yelena regarding him with a severe expression, but she relaxes and tells them to help Zeke and Eren. Down below, Gabby and Colt make their way to headquarters to look for Falco. Colt explains that the unusual weapon he carries is an anti-Titan rifle, but it is difficult to kill a Titan with it without a direct hit to the nape. The two Haida soldiers come out of headquarters, only to be shocked when they see Falco walk out along with them. Nile notices Falco react to something and Falco says he saw his brother. Loud enough for others to hear, Nile orders Falco to come with him as a prisoner. He tells the other soldiers that he will tie up Falco in a house, but instead leads him over to Colt and Gabby. Colt readies himself to shoot, but Gabby holds him back. Once Nile sees the two, Nile tells Falco to go home and hands him to his brother. Falco runs away with them and looks back to say thank you. Nile waves and returns to the rest of the soldiers. As they regroup, Colt asks Gabby why she trusted the enemy, but before she can answer, they are interrupted by the arrival of Nicolo and the Braz family. The three of them hide and overhear the Braz family hoping that Gabby and Falco are safe. Gabby is shocked and stands up to possibly reveal herself, but stops when she hears Kaya ask why they should care about the person who killed Sasha Braz. Colt tries to get them to move once the family is gone, but Gabby is in silent tears, concluding that there are no devils on the island at all, just people. She finally realizes what Reiner had gone through years prior. She apologizes to Falco for dragging him into this, and out of guilt, he shares his involvement and how he unknowingly opened the door to Erin's raid on Liberio. He considers himself responsible for the deaths of Zofia and Edo. Falco then confesses his love for Gabby and how he became a warrior candidate because he did not want her to inherit the armored titan, so she would live a long life. Shocked, Gabby asks him why he is telling her this. Falco explains that he might turn into a titan soon and does not want to leave it unsaid. Gabby suddenly stands up and rips the black armband from his arm, telling him they need to go. Colt agrees, hoping Zeke might not use the scream if he knows it will turn Falco. Meanwhile, Zeke continues to fend off attackers to allow Eren to approach him, and the Marleyan army is keeping the freed parody military from getting to Eren. Zeke notices steam rising from further down the wall and sees the skeleton of the cart titan, still with the artillery platform on its back. He concludes Pike must have fallen as the Jadrists cheer beside the body. Floke arrives and asks the cheering soldiers who took them out, but no one landed a shot. Magath's soldiers shoot the Jadrists from under the smoking. Skeleton and Pike's smokescreen gives Magath's cannon the one shot he needs for a sneak attack against the Beast Titan. The shell strikes the Beast Titan in the shoulder near the nape, toppling Zeke from the wall into the city below, but it is not enough to kill him. Magath urges Pike to hurry and reposition them because if Zeke has any strength left he will use it to scream. On the ground, Falco, Colt, and Gabby hurry to Zeke. Episode 3. Eren Yeager limps his attack titan towards his brother Zek's Spawn Beast Titan, but is interrupted by a bite to the leg from Porco Galliard's Jaw Titan. He smashes the Jaw Titan's head and back before his Titan's arm is blown off by an artillery shell shot by Theo Magath. Before Magath can shoot again, Floke Forster and his squad attack the cart titan and its artillery crew. On the ground, Parody Island's military spreads to avoid taking the Marleyan forces head-on. Armin Arlott suggests to his friends that they sneak around behind their enemies. As Zeke rouses, Eren grapples with Reiner Bronze Armor Titan, and Galliard receives a memory from his brother Marcel about why Reiner was chosen to become a warrior. Magath notices Zeke rise and Eren reaches out, wide-eyed as the Beast Titan inhales for a scream, but it is Colt Grice who shouts Zeke actually hears. Colt pleads for Zeke not to scream since his brother Falco has swallowed some of Zek's spinal fluid. Zeke listens to Colt in horror and admits he knows what is it like to care for the well-being of a brother, but he refuses his request and uses his Titan's scream anyway. Falco screams for Colt to get away, but Colt holds on, saying that he is there for him. Throughout Shiganshina district, soldiers transform into Titans and begin attacking the Marleyan army. Zeke commands the newly transformed Falco and sends him at Reiner, knocking him away from Eren. Reiner manages to pin both Falco and the weakened Eren, but realizes he cannot handle them both and he does not want to kill Falco. When Eren temporarily breaks free, Reiner grabs him by the ankle to bring him down again, though this leaves him open to Falco, who bites at his nape. Having defeated most of Floke's soldiers, Magath fires another shot at the Beast Titan, blowing a hole into its nape. He then turns his attention to Eren, but is disrupted by an explosive attack from Armin. Mikasa Ackerman arrives as well and begins attacking the artillery crew. On the ground, the Beast Titan dissolves to a skeleton. Realizing that Eren can no longer use the Founding Titan without Zeke, Reiner ponders whether it is okay to let himself go, and for Falco to eat him. However, Falco lets go of his nape, to Reiner's surprise, and he sees Galliard has left his Jaw Titan. Galliard says he no longer has the strength to heal his body, but he will not die for nothing. He knows now that Marcel was trying to protect him and that is why Reiner became a warrior instead. As he always suspected, Galliard was better than him. Falco devours Galliard, leaving Reiner free to focus on Eren, who hardens his Titan while the armored Titan's fist is trapped in his Titan's mouth. Eren escapes through the nape and runs on foot towards Zeke, who is actually alive and only allowed his Titan to wither in order to pretend to be dead. Reiner breaks free, but is forced back by dual attacks from Connie Springer and Jean Kirstein. However, before Eren can reach Zeke, Gabby Braun shoots him with the anti-Titan rifle she has taken from the now-deceased Colt. The blow decapitates Eren and sends his head flying towards Zeke. Back when the two brothers reunited in Marley, Zeke confirmed his stance about Eldian euthanasia and asked if Eren agreed. Eren recalled the memories he had received of when his father killed the royal family. If Grisha had not killed the royal children, they could have reclaimed the Founding Titan, dooming humanity behind the walls. However, Eren told Zeke he disagreed with Gria's actions. If Eldians had not been born, they would not be planning the attack they were now, that would result in mass casualties. There would be no greater salvation than never being born. Moved by Eren's agreement to work with him, Zeke offered him a baseball in lieu of shaking his hand since it was best for them to not make physical contact yet. He tosses it to Eren who fails to catch it, calling himself Rusty. In the present, Zeke catches Eren's head in his outstretched hand before Eren loses complete consciousness. Memories spill out and the two brothers emerge in the paths. Eren is standing and turns to find Zeke sitting, chained to the sand beneath him. Zeke explains that those with royal blood come here to use the Founding Titan. He has been waiting in this timeless land for Eren to wake up ever since they made contact, since they managed to do so before Eren passed on. Now they have succeeded in unlocking the power of the Founding Titan. A young girl approaches them and Zeke says she is Ymir, the founder, because that is the only person who would make sense in a place like this. He explains how she rebuilt his body and this must be where she makes Titans. Zeke tells Eren to command Ymir. He is unable to move freely himself because the chains that bind him are the vow to renounce war. When Eren is silent, Zeke urges him to ask her to make Eldians unable to bear children, saying that the rumbling can wait. However, Eren refuses, saying that he could never go along with such a plan. He just manipulated Zeke to get himself here. Eren walks up to Ymir and asks her to lend him her power. Ymir walks right past him though, continuing on towards Zeke, who is grappling with Eren's betrayal. She stops in front of Zeke and drops to her knees. Zeke explains that he learned a lot while waiting for Eren to wake, including that Ymir can make anything as long as one of royal blood wills it. He stands, breaking the chains he had created by his own command, and says that he is here, without being tainted by the first king's ideals, so he has managed to nullify the vow to renounce war. Zeke describes Ymir as being a slave, with no will of her own, and says she will accept those of royal blood as her master, thus giving him all the powers of the founder. Eren was simply a key he needed to unlock them. Zeke is glad to know Eren's true feelings, but does not blame him, saying that it is the fault of their father. Now he intends to save Eren the way that Tom Zavr saved him. Zeke plans to fix Eren by using the founder's power. Episode 4. Inside Grisha Jaeger's memories, Eren and Zeke watch their father pick up a crying baby Eren. Zeke notes that Grisha looks happy for a man who has lost his previous family and friends, and is resentful of that fact. He is showing this to Eren in hopes that Eren will understand that his father has brainwashed him into thinking the way he does now. Zeke takes Eren a little further into his father's memories, and shows how Grisha uses his profession as a doctor to get close to people in power in order to track down the king and the founding titan. This places his family at great risk should he ever be discovered, and Eren reaches the conclusion that Zeke expects, that Grisha would throw away his family in order to restore Eldia. Though Eren says he is no longer brainwashed, Zeke says there is no rush and continues to take him through their father's memories. They watch how Grisha conducts his investigation, which eventually leads him to the church built above the underground chapel. Both of them are shocked by how quickly Grisha finds it, since he will not take the founding titan until the day Wall Maria falls, but this is a much younger Grisha, and the Eren in his memories is still a toddler. Grisha locates the trap door leading to the cavern below, but apprehensively closes it and leaves the church. He returns home and hugs Eren. Zeke is stunned to learn that Grisha delayed the completion of his mission out of love for his second son. In the Jaeger family basement, Zeke and Eren continue to observe Grisha, who has fallen asleep at his desk. Eren is standing behind Grisha and Zeke is in front of the desk, looking at his father's bookshelf. Zeke supposes that Grisha has learned from his past mistakes with him, but insists that Eren is still moving, exactly the way Grisha would want him to. Eren notices a photograph by the sleeping Grisha and sees it is the one of Grisha and his first family. Grisha stirs, mumbling an apology to Zeke, and opens his eyes. Suddenly, he stands up and looks directly at Zeke in confusion. He asks if that is really him. Grisha looks to either side of him, still confused, and then slumps back into his chair. He tells himself that the bearded man he sees could not possibly be Zeke and that this must be a dream. Eren opens the door behind him, and tells Zeke they should go on to the next memory. By the time they get to memories, when Eren is 9 years old, Zeke admits that Eren does not appear to have been brainwashed by Grisha, and was allowed to grow as he wished. Because of this, Zeke does not understand why Eren betrayed him. Eren was forced to inherit a titan and despite knowing nothing, followed Grisha's plans anyway. Zeke asks what Eren is planning to do with the founding titan. As they come to the memory where Grisha discovers Eren has rescued Mikasa Ackerman by killing her kidnappers, Eren tells Zeke that he mistakenly assumes that the two of them are the same. Rather than letting someone steal his freedom, he will steal theirs first. It was not something his father taught him, but something he was born with. He is not going to be the weak little brother Zeke was hoping for. Eren sees Zeke as a man unable to move past his dead father's dream, but Zeke says he is grateful, because he can now save the world from Eldia. Zeke walks away, ready to move on, but Eren stops to look at his younger self, who has wrapped his scarf around Mikasa. In another memory, as Grisha medically examines a child, Zeke says he can carry out the euthanization plan at any time, since he is already connected to the founder, but before he saves the world, he wants to save Eren. They return to the basement, and Zeke stands behind Grisha, watching him write the message he will leave behind for Eren, saying that humanity outside the walls has not perished. Grisha puts the photo of his first family in his journal and locks it away in his desk drawer. As he lifts the key, he looks straight ahead of him and stares. Eren is directly in front of him. In the ground floor of the Jaeger home, a younger Eren and Mikasa come in with firewood. They put it away as Carla Jaeger cooks and Grisha sits at the table. As the family eats, the children learn that Grisha will be away for a couple days and Mikasa reveals Eren wants to join the scout regiment. Rather than being upset like Carla, Grisha asks Eren why he wants to go out there. Eren says he wants to know what the outside world is like rather than being ignorant, and he does not want the lives of those who died exploring to have been for nothing. Understanding, Grisha says when he returns, he will show Eren the secret in the basement that he has been keeping, but as he speaks he is not looking at the younger Eren, but at the one from the present day. As Grisha leaves home, he is haunted by a terrible vision. The day Wall Maria falls he returns to the underground chapel where the Rice family is gathered. Grisha announces that he is an Eldian and subject of Ymir who has come from outside the walls. He begs the current king to stop the Titans from attacking before his family and everyone else is eaten. Though pained, the vow to renounce war asserts itself on Frida and she coldly states that they must not escape their sins. The power of the Titans, especially the Founder's power, must not fall into other people's hands or a hell like that of the Great Titan War could happen again. In order to save the world, they need to accept their sins and welcome their destruction. Zeke realizes that he and Frida are on the same page, but also that she and her family will be killed by Grisha. He remembers that Aaron said he was disgusted by this memory, and turns to ask if that was a lie, only to be shocked by the intensity on Aaron's face. Undeterred, Grisha pleads for his family, since his house is near where the wall broke. He argues that the people she is leaving to die do not know anything of their ancestors' sins, because the king has erased those memories, so how can that be atonement? Frida says nothing they do can be enough repentance, so her focus is preventing any deaths of those outside the walls. If they remain ignorant and accept the world's hatred, only Eldians will need to die. Grisha is horrified and turns to look over his right shoulder, where Aaron is smoldering with rage. Not noticing this, Frida continues to say that arguing with her is pointless, and even if he took the founding titan from her he could not use it. Grisha knows this. Each of the 9 titans has a special trait, and the attack titan has never bowed to anyone. He believes that is because the attack titan is intended to fight against the king's self-righteousness. The attack titan can catch glimpses into the memories of its future inheritors, and through them, know the future. Those memories are what led him here today. Frida has never heard of that before, and Grisha is aware. He also knows that the vow to renounce war is preventing her from using the full power of the founding titan, so he is going to eat the founding titan and end the royal bloodline. The future has already been decided. Grisha takes out a scalpel to stab himself, and the Rice family scatters, but he sees the panicking children and the implement drops from his grasp. Groaning, he falls to his knees and says he cannot kill children. He is a doctor and he is supposed to save lives. Zeke is shocked, because this is not what happens and the past cannot change. Meanwhile, the Rice family urges Frida to transform and kill him. Reluctant, she musters her courage and prepares to bite her hand. Aaron looks down on Grisha and tells him to stand. He asks if Grisha has forgotten what he came here to do, to avenge the deaths of his sister, his first wife, and his comrades. Grisha needs to keep moving forward. After all, he is the one who started this story. Grisha picks up the scalpel and stabs himself with a scream. The Rice family dies. These details had been revealed to Aaron when he had kissed Astoria Raya's hand after the Battle of Shiganshina district. Zeke is aghast at Aaron's manipulation of Grisha through their shared memories, and Grisha flees the destroyed chapel. He exits his titan and staggers away, carrying a syringe of titan spinal fluid with him and horrified by what he has done. Grisha falls to his knees and shouts that he killed all of them except for the father, just as Aaron wanted. He asks if Aaron is happy, and if this will really save Eldia. Grisha wishes Aaron had shown him everything, but he knows about only the wall falling and the day, which it happens, and not if Carla is safe. Grisha, still looking at the ground, suspects that Zeke is near and asks if he is there. He tells Zeke that things will not go his way, and that Aaron will get everything which he wants. Grisha knows what the next stage of Aaron's plan is, and it is terrible. He looks up, and to his surprise, he sees Zeke standing in front of him. Sobbing, Grisha apologizes for being an awful father and tells Zeke that he loves him. He embraces a startled Zeke and tells him that he wishes that he had spent more time with him. Moved, Zeke tears up and calls him father. Grisha asks Zeke to stop Aaron, but as he does, Zeke sees Aaron standing behind Grisha, staring intently at him. Suddenly, Zeke is knocked off his feet and they are back in the paths. Though Aaron is chained, he looks calmly down on Zeke. Episode 5. Grisha Yeager remembers how he killed the Rice family with his attack titan and laments that Aaron would not show him everything in store for the future. He warns his son Zeke Yeager that things will not go his way and that the future Aaron has foreseen is terrible. Grisha begs Zeke to stop Aaron. After he does, Zeke is thrown out of Grez's memories and back into the sandy terrain of the paths where he sees Aaron still chained nearby. Zeke asks if Aaron pushed their father into fighting the King of the Walls and thus the rest of the world. Using the power of the attack titan, Aaron could have shown Grisha specific memories in order to influence his behavior in the past. Grisha could not use the founding titan, so the primary reason he stole it was to entrust it to Aaron in the future. Aaron thanks Zeke because this plan was only possible through Zeke bringing him into Grez's memories. He goes on to explain that he saw his own future through Grez's memories 4 years ago. Zeke recalls Grisha saying how things will not go his way, but knowing he still has control over Ymir, he orders her to make Eldians no longer able to have children. She turns and walks towards the coordinate as Zeke tells Aaron that their father wanted Zeke to stop him. Aaron struggles against his chains to run after her and Zeke says he does not know what future Aaron saw, but he knows Aaron did not see everything. For instance, Aaron did not expect that he could not use Ymir's powers himself. Aaron screams and rips the chains off, severing his hands, which regrow, and he chases after Ymir. Zeke believes this effort will be useless since the command has already been given, so nothing will stop her. In the distant past, Ymir is a young girl living in a small village when invaders come. She and the other survivors are enslaved and their tongues cut out. One day a pig escapes its pen and Fritz, the tribal leader, declares that if one of them does not confess, all of the slaves will have an eye cut out. Ymir is selected as a scapegoat. Unable to refute the others, she kneels in front of the chieftain, and he tells her that she will be free. Ymir is set loose to be hunted by men on horseback. Injured from arrows that have struck her, she tumbles down to find a large tree with a hollow entrance at the base of the trunk. She walks inside and slips, falling down a long tunnel and landing in a pool of water below. As she sinks into the water, a spindly fluorescent creature swims up from the depths and aligns several of its tendrils along her spine. A light flashes and a massive titan rises out of the forest. Years later, she is now a prized possession. Fritz is pleased with how she has built roads and cultivated the wilds for them. His tribe has grown with her support, and as a reward he intends to have her bear his children. He then has her attack Marley. She has 3 children with him, and Eldia is raised from a tribe in wooden homes to a kingdom with buildings of stone and trappings of riches. When enemy soldiers kneel before Fritz in surrender, one of their officers rises to his feet with a spear. He manages to throw it before being killed himself, and Ymir hurls herself in the way, taking the blow through her heart. She falls to the ground, unmoving, and does not rise when Fritz commands her to. Determined not to lose Ymir's power, Fritz has their daughters Maria, Rose, and Sina consume the body of their mother. He declares that they should have children to continue the bloodline, and when they die their spines should be fed to their own children, and so on down the line, so Eldia will continue to dominate the world. As the Eldian Empire continues to rule, Ymir carries a bucket in the paths and builds titans in the sand at her descendants' command, expecting to do so for all eternity. In the present, Eren embraces Ymir and tells her that he will end her slavery, saying that she is not a god or a slave, but a person. She has a choice. Seeing that she has stopped moving, Zeke begins to panic and runs towards them as Eren asks Ymir if she is the one who led him here, suggesting that she has been waiting for 2,000 years for someone. In Eren's arms, Ymir trembles and tears run from her eyes. Outside the paths in Shiganshina district, a long translucent spine connects Eren's head with his body. It is similar to the creature Ymir had encountered in the pool. Then the light of a Titan transformation flashes, and the walls crumble, interrupting the fight between the Parody Island military and Marley. Hundreds of wall titans are revealed and they begin to march, crushing anything in their path. Eren leads them in a new Titan form that is so gigantic, it dwarfs even the wall titans. Armin Arlo realizes this means Eren has won and taken control of the founding Titan. The wall titans are likely heading out to crush the global alliance forming in Marley. Mikasa Ackerman struggles to accept that this could mean Eren really did come home to them, but Armin then realizes that the number of wall titans is excessive for that purpose. As he talks to Mikasa, all subjects of Ymir, no matter where they are in the world, are briefly pulled into the paths. Eren speaks to them and explains that he is talking to them through the power of the founding Titan. He has undone the hardening on all the walls and sent the Titans out to march. Eren intends to protect the people of Parody Island. Since the outside world wants to exterminate all subjects of Ymir, regardless of whether they live on Parody or not, he will instead use the Titans to trample every inch of the world beyond the island until nothing is left alive outside of the island of Parody. Episode 6. As the walls crumble, revealing the wall titans, Eren Yeager uses the power of the founding Titan to speak to all subjects of Ymir. He says he will use the Titans to trample all life in the outside world in order to protect the people of Parody Island. In Liberio, Eldians come to their senses after having heard Eren's words. Annie's father realizes that the Titans are coming to kill them all. Back in Shiganshina district, an injured Reiner Braun limps after Gabi, who is looking for Falco Grice amidst the rubble. Reiner expects Falco to be unconscious and without memories of recent events due to the trauma of being changed into a Titan. He tells Gabi that Falco was carried away, probably by Jean Kirstein and Connie Springer due to his value as someone who can transform into a Titan. As he falls to his knees due to his wounds, he tells Gabi that his armor was undone when the walls came down, and a chunk fell on him. Reiner laments not being able to stop Eren from destroying the world. The two of them take refuge in a house, and Reiner tells Gabi to go to the Marleyan airships in the south to escape. Someone needs to warn the world of what is coming, but Gabi asks him what the point is since they would have nowhere to run. She worries about their family getting killed, and says they have to stop Eren, but Reiner has given up. Gabi, however, refuses to abandon hope and decides she will start by finding Falco. On a rooftop outside, Jean and Connie meet up with Mikasa Ackerman and Armin Arlo. They have Falco with them. Though Jean is uncomfortable with Eren's actions, he tries to rationalize it by suggesting the outside world provoked them by labeling them devils. Armin feels that this is going too far, but Jean points out how much Eren has done things in their favor, from protecting them from Zek's euthanasia plan to refusing to sacrifice Historia Rice to obtain the founding Titan's power. The Eldians on the island are the only group who will benefit from the mass genocide. Sounds of battle disrupt their conversation and they notice that the Titans Zeke transformed from former soldiers are fighting their own military. Armin is surprised since Eren should be able to control all the Titans with the Founder's power. Jean wants to go help and suggests that they may be able to feed Falco to a soldier to bring someone back since Falco probably holds the Jaw Titan. He begins to suggest Pixis, but Connie interrupts to say they should save his mother, who is still in Ragako. Against the idea, Armin reminds the two that Falco is like a little brother to the warriors. Killing him would invite more conflict between them, and there will be no point in continuing to fight them after Marley is destroyed by the Titans. Connie does not take the suggestion well, turning it around to insinuate that his mother does not matter to Armin. He reminds Armin that he is here only because he ate Berthold Hoover. Before they can reach any resolution, their argument is interrupted by the arrival of a Titan. Connie uses the opportunity to escape with Falco, leaving everyone else to handle the oncoming Titans. Inside the military fort, the anti-Marleyan volunteers panic because of the Titans climbing on the walls to get to them. Onyankopon tries to get Yelena to move away from the window, but she watches the Titans with interest, noting that even though they were created by Zeke Yeager they do not appear to be controlled by him. Outside, the Braz family and Nicolo flee from one of the newly created Titans. Most of them turn into a narrow alley to escape it, but Kaya, watching over her shoulder, misses the turn and instead trips through an opening in a wooden gate and falls down a set of stairs. The Titan crashes through the gate to get to her and she has flashbacks of her mother being eaten. She calls out for her big sis to save her when a shot from an anti-Titan rifle tears through the Titan's neck. Gabby picks herself up off the ground and shouts for Kaya to get up as she charges forward at the still-living Titan. She jams the barrel of the rifle down the Titan's throat and fires, blowing the Titan's head off. Lisa Braz comforts Kaya as Nicolo marvels that Gabby has not already left. She tells him that she is looking for Falco. Just then, Scout Regiment soldiers find them and speculate that Gabby is the escaped Marleyan captive because she is holding the anti-Titan rifle. Kaya finds her resolve and answers for Gabby, saying that she is not, and they are a family who run stables. Nicolo takes the rifle and claims that he was the one who killed the Titan, since as a former Marleyan prisoner he had the training. The rest of the Braz family quickly changes the topic to finding a path to safety as Gabby marvels at how they are protecting her. Archer Braz tells Gabby to stay with them for now, but to escape with Falco once she gets the chance. As the soldiers escort the family, Gabby asks Kaya why she saved her. Kaya counters her with the same question, given that Kaya tried to kill her. After all, in Gabby's view, Kaya is a devil. Gabby is unsure of the reason, but says that she herself is the devil, since she killed so many people just to earn praise. Nicolo remarks that there is a devil inside of everyone and that is why the world is the way it is. When Gabby asks what they can do, Nicolo says they will have to escape the forest. Back at the fort, Surma is nearly eaten by a Titan when Keith Sadie's arrives and cuts down the Titan. He chastises the frightened cadets, and tells them to get old sets of omnidirectional mobility gear so they can follow him and live. As Jean, Mikasa, and Armin arrive outside the fort, Jean shouts for those inside to gather on the top floor and bring all the thunder spears they have. They gather with the collected soldiers on the pinnacle of the fort and collectively jump off and fire their thunder spears into the gathered Titans. Meanwhile, Keith leads the cadets through Shiganshina district. Using themselves as bait, they lead the city's Titans back to the fort where they can be slain along with the others. As the group at the fort rearms, Armin, Jean, and Mikasa recognize one of the Titans as Pixis. Knowing they cannot save him, they still head into battle. Armin acknowledges that they only made it this far because of Pixis as he shoots one of the thunder spears into his pure Titan's nape. The soldiers then proceed to clean out the rest of the Titans. After the battle, there are no remaining pure Titans and the Marleyan forces have been wiped out. As Oninkopin and Jean watch the wall Titans march away, Oninkopin asks if this means his homeland is doomed, but Jean does not answer. A soldier brings Floke Forster in. Floke is happy that Jean took care of the Titans, though Jean is less pleased to see that he survived. He walks up to Yelena, who is sitting dejectedly in a chair, and points a gun at her head, telling her to summon the volunteers for detainment. Elsewhere, Archer Braz has managed to find Armin and Mikasa and leads them to his family and Gabby. Noticing their surprise, Gabby quickly explains that she just wants to find Falco and then they will leave. Seeing the distress on their faces though, Gabby realizes that something must have happened. She learns about Falco's kidnapping and why Connie wants him, but finds herself unable to give up on Falco. She asks if Eren could turn back Connie's mother with the founding Titan, but Armin suspects he cannot, otherwise he would have turned back the Titans that had been recently transformed by Zeke. Undeterred, she pleads with Armin to talk to Eren to ask him if he could just take out military bases instead of killing everyone off the island. She mentions that this should be possible since Eren stripped Reiner of his Titan's armor, which surprises Armin. He asks her when Reiner's armor came off and she replies that it was as soon as the walls came down. Armin realizes that Eren undid all the Titan hardening, not just that of the walls. In a basement, an uncrystallized Annie Leonhardt lies on the floor and takes a few ragged breaths of air. Episode 7. The military police are busy rescuing survivors in Trost District following the collapse of the walls and the march of the Wall Titans. Hitch Drace tends to an injured woman who laments the destruction of her house, which was destroyed due to the rumbling. Nearby, people argue over whether Eren Jaeger's actions are justified given that people have been killed by the falling walls. Another MP notices the trouble brewing and Hitch agrees that the two sides are going to clash. Hitch goes to organize riot gear for the military police when she spots damp footsteps coming out from the basement. She follows them to a room where she is ambushed by Annie Leonhardt who threatens to cut her throat. Hitch throws her though, and comments on how weak Annie is compared to how she used to be. Only then does Annie realize she attacked her former roommate. While calling for help, Hitch realizes that Annie is injured and Annie threatens to transform into the female Titan if Hitch does not do as she asks, but Hitch says that she is too weak to do so. Annie suggests they will not know until she tries, leaving Hitch in a quandary over whether to call her bluff. She ultimately does not, and takes Annie to the stable so she can leave town. Hitch says that this way, she will no longer have to look at Annie's face in the basement, and Annie in turn says that she will no longer have to listen to Hitch rant about the men she has seen, revealing that Annie has been conscious while inside her crystal, though she describes it as more of being in a faraway dream. Annie asks if Eren is serious about destroying the world. The two ride out on a single horse and Annie marvels at the sight of the Wall Titans marching. Hitch turns Annie's attention to the ground below, where the Titans have trampled the town around them. She tells her friend that the only meaningful job she has had as a soldier has been picking up bodies and debris, cleaning up after people like her and Eren. Now that she can answer, Hitch asks Annie how she feels seeing all the bodies crushed in pursuit of her mission. Annie realizes that the warriors were callous and tells Hitch how they were praised for killing outsiders, civilians and soldiers alike, but says that saving the world never mattered to her. Annie explains how she was abandoned by her birth parents and adopted by a foreign Eldian who wanted a child to become a warrior and earn a better life for himself. He trained her in martial arts and according to her, her only value to him was as a potential warrior. When she grew older she became strong enough to defeat him, and in repayment for the brutal training she beat him, so badly he would not be able to walk straight anymore. Despite this, he was happy and told her that now she would be able to kill, even without a weapon. Because of her upbringing, Annie found herself uncaring about whether people lived or died, including herself. But before she left for Parody Island, the man who adopted her fell to his knees and apologized for everything he put her through. He said the things he taught her were wrong and pleaded for her to come back. Annie says she knows now that a father is waiting for her, and that there are others who also have people who are important to them. The things she has done are unforgivable, but she would do them all over again if it meant going back to her father. Hitch thanks Annie for confiding in her, but given present circumstances, all Annie is going to find is rubble and a corpse. In Liberio, the Eldians in the Interman Zone try explaining the coming rumbling, and their shared dream to the Marleyan guards at the gate. The guards are concerned, but skeptical, claiming that the Eldians are using it as an excuse to escape. Leonhardt points out that Eldians in all Interman camps will be saying the same thing, but the guards refuse to listen. They point their weapons and prepare to arrest the gathered Eldians. One of them kicks an already kneeling Leonhardt, and he remembers his request for Annie to come back and her subsequent promise to do so. He turns to fight the guard. Back in Shiganshina district, Surma warns Keith Sades that the fort is being taken over by the Jaderists and he should escape. However, Keith refuses, saying that the military he had known is already dead and there is no longer a place for him. He foresees the Jaderists gaining control of the island, and people like him will be purged. Surma and the other cadets insist on protecting him after what he has done for them, but Keith refuses, telling them to do what the Jaderists tell them to do so that one day they might be able to have the fight they want. Elsewhere, Armin Arla prepares to chase after Connie Springer, even though Mikasa Ackerman does not think he will get to Rageko in time. Armin, however, feels that he has to do everything in his power to try, even if he ultimately fails. It is the only way to earn Gabby Braun's trust, and through her they will be able to reach Reiner Braun and the Cart Titan. As long as the 9 Titans exist, they run the risk of another war over the Titans and their power. He is tense and exhausted, but if he has a chance to prevent that, he will, even if it means telling Connie that it is better his mother remains as a Titan. As he prepares to leave, Mikasa asks him what she should do, and he tells her to go help Jean Kirstein and to think of how on her own. When she asks what to do about Eren though, Armin hits his breaking point and snaps. He has no idea what they can possibly do about him, and it is not helped by the fact they do not know if Hang Zoe and Levi Ackerman are alive, or if Luke Forster will point a gun at them. The military has fallen apart and everything is in chaos. He tries to explain that there is so much going on that he cannot afford to think about Eren right now. But seeing that Mikasa has been hurt by his words, he apologizes and says that Erwin Smith would not have snapped at her. Armin believes that he was the wrong person to have been saved, and having said that, he leaves. Mikasa turns around after his departure and notices that her scarf is no longer where she left it. As Armin and Nikalo prepare horses, Arthur Braz tries comforting Gabby, telling her that even if it was for his mother, Connie would hesitate to sacrifice Falco Grice's life. Kaya tells her to take care as she rides off with Armin. On one of the fort's upper floors, Floke shoots the hand of one of the anti-Marleyan volunteers and tells Jean that he is helping the man understand their situation when Jean protests. Floke is unwilling to tolerate backtalk. When Jean asks who made him king, Floke announces to everyone present that Eren explained his plan to him 10 months ago. He has always known that Eren intended to manipulate Zeke Yeager in order to obtain the power of the founding Titan, and Floke formed the Jaderists to help him with that. He tells the gathered volunteers that they have lost both their leader and the military who backed them, and soon their homelands will be destroyed as well, but if any of them wish to aid the new Eldian Empire, they will be welcomed as fellow Eldians. When the man he previously shot announces that he would never join him, Flo kills him and tells the other volunteers that pride is not worth dying for. He suggests that living in submission would be better than that, and then has the remaining volunteers locked up so they can think about it. Just then, Mikasa arrives and asks Ashik and Jean what happened. Floke answers for him and says that he is working on Eren's behalf. While Eren is solving problems outside the island, Floke is handling the ones within it. He tells the two of them that after surviving the hell of 4 years before, freedom is finally in their grasp. They will no longer have to fight and can live as they want. He appeals to Jean's old dream of living in the interior as part of the military police and tells him he could do that now and as a hero, but Jean breaks out of his stupor on hearing Floke's description of his old self and notices Onin Kopin giving him a look. Mikasa asks Floke what happened to Hang and Levi, and Floke claims they were killed by Zeke. As the sun sets, Falco tells Connie that he appreciates his help, but does not understand why they are going north. Connie says it is safer than the south, and he is taking Falco to a hospital for his amnesia. He claims that he found Falco by himself and doing this is a soldier's duty, which reminds Connie of how he tried to become a soldier his family would be proud of. He knows he can no longer save the rest of his family, but it is still possible to save his mother. Oblivious, Falco thanks Connie for being helpful even as he thinks about how he has to get back to the south since he does not remember what happened to Gabby and his brother Colt Grice before he passed out. He also has the uneasy feeling that he has met Connie before. Outside Shiganshina district, Pikefinger remarks that it looks like the airships are heading back to Marley. She suspects they have been left for dead, but Theo Magath believes the airships are making the right call, heading home to warn the motherland. Pike asks if there is any way to stop this now, and Magath begins to say that there is not when Hang approaches them, scaring Pike into nearly devouring Hang with her cart titan. She stops short though as Hang protests, they are unarmed. Seeing they are still concerned, Hang gestures to the makeshift cart nearby, and tells Magath and Pike not to worry. The fellow in the litter, there is harmless and too stubborn to die. Episode 8. A half-day before, Hang Zoe discreetly kills a Jagerist when he comes to look for his friend in order to keep their hiding place with Levi Ackerman safe. Hang assures a motionless Levi that those were the last of their pursuers. As Hang sutures his face, they speculate that the only reason he is not already dead from his wounds and escaped his unit being transformed into Titans is because he is an Ackerman. Disheartened and unaware of changing circumstances, Hang sits and mulls over all their problems since the Jagerists took over. Flashing back to Jill Sands' words, Hang wonders if it is now their turn to be locked in a cell, even though they thought they did the right thing. They half-heartedly suggest to Levi that they remain living isolated out in the woods, which is when Aaron Yeager informs Eldians across the world about his intentions. Levi stirs following the announcement, and after making him lie down again, Hang briefs him on what he missed while unconscious. Levi laments losing Zeke Yeager again, not having foreseen the man's readiness to die. Hang understands this means Levi has lost another chance to avenge Irwin, Smith, and begins to lay down their situation, but Levi asks them what would be left if they ran and hid. Besides, he knows Hang would not stop, and asks them about the makeshift litter they are crafting and if it is for him. In the present, Levi and Hang talk with Theo Magath and Pikefinger to discover that their two groups are similarly interested in tracking down Zeke. Hang believes he is being held by Aaron and the Founding Titan to make use of his royal blood. As Connie Springer and Falco Grice camp overnight in the woods, Connie tries to think of how best to feed Falco to his mother without accidentally causing Falco to learn about his new power. Guilt begins to eat at him as he realizes that Falco has been very well behaved and trusting around him despite Connie's suspicious behavior. In the morning, they arrive in Rageko and Falco reveals that he saw Connie before when Gabby Braun killed Sasha Braz. After overhearing Connie muttering Sasha's name the previous night, Falco knows that Connie must have brought him here for a reason with full knowledge of who he was. Connie says he is not interested in revenge because things like that happen in battle, and he draws back the curtains, covering the house's mother's Titan is trapped inside. He reassures Falco that the Titan cannot move and makes an awkward suggestion that Falco join him in cleaning the Titan's teeth since this is an unusual opportunity. Just then, Gabby and Armin Arla ride up with Gabby shouting for Falco to get away because Connie is going to feed him to the Titan. In response, Connie quickly takes Falco hostage with a blade at his throat. As Connie climbs the ladder beside his mother's Titan, Gabby tries to explain to Falco that he has the Jaw Titan now. As she fears for his life, Armin remembers his personal feeling of not living up to Irwin's legacy and charges in on his omnidirectional mobility gear. He lands on the beam above the Titan's mouth, and prepares to throw himself in. Realizing Armin is about to sacrifice himself to save Falco, Connie drops the boy and saves Armin. As Gabby catches Falco up on the previous day, Connie wonders what Armin's backup plan would have been, and Armin says Connie's mother becoming human would have been the backup. Connie also knows that she would not want to have become the colossal Titan. He feels as though he has let her down now, having almost killed a child and his friend, but he realizes that he still wants to be the kind of soldier she would be proud of and suggests that they go save some people. In Shiganshina district, Mikasa Ackerman finds the mortally injured Louise in an infirmary. Louise asks if she came looking for her or for her scarf, which Louise is wearing around her neck. Mikasa makes it clear she is there for the scarf, to Louise's disappointment. Louise says she spoke to Aaron about her and Aaron wanted to have the scarf thrown away. On hearing this, Mikasa immediately requests her scarf back. As she leaves, Louise reminds her that she became a soldier after being inspired by Mikasa, and she does not regret any of it. At the fort, Floke Forster rallies the Jagerists with Jean Kirstein standing solemnly behind him. A soldier asks Mikasa if she is going to join their group and she declines. Outside, with the last of the Wall Titans having departed, and rescue operations resolved, the city is festive with food and drink being made widely available in celebration. Armin, Connie, Gabby, and Falco take advantage of the opportunity to get food, rather than immediately meeting up with Reiner Braun who Gabby expects will still be unconscious for a long time. While eating, they bump into Annie Leonhardt who leaves Hitchtrace and note that she will be joining them. At sunset, on top of the fort, Floke announces the executions of Yelena and Onion Kopen for opposing the Eldian Empire. He details her crimes and asks Yelena if she has any last words. She dryly asks if he is going to shoot already. Despite the jeers from the crowd, Floke declines to do so immediately and moves on to Onion Kopen. Since Onion Kopen did not know of the euthanization plan, Floke gives him another chance to avoid death by accepting the rule of the Eldian Empire. Onion Kopen cracks at this. Though he was trying to free his homeland from Marley, he genuinely wanted to help the Eldian people when he joined the anti-Marleyan volunteers, and now because of it, his homeland will be crushed by the rumbling and his family slain, leaving the xenophobes on the island as the only surviving people. Appealing to their generosity is not worth it. He tries to get the Jagerists to understand how insane it is to massacre the entire world, but finds no sympathy. When he attempts to get through to Jean, Jean shoots his gun to cut him off, and then fires 3 additional bullets in a steady rhythm. However, Onyink and Pan is still alive, and Floke notices with irritation that all 4 of Jean's bullets have landed in the ground between Onyinkopin and Yelena. When Floke asks what is going on, Jean deadpans that he missed. Answering the signal, the cart titan barrels up the side of the fort and lunges through the group. Jean pushes Floke out of the way, and is caught inside the titan's jaws along with Yelena and Onyinkopin. Floke initially buys the deception as the cart titan runs away, and shouts for someone to send Mikasa after the titan, but then he realizes that he does not know where Mikasa is. Inside the ground floor of the fort itself, Mikasa, Armin, Connie, and the rest of their group have loaded carts with supplies. With Pike distracting everyone as the cart titan, they escape with their hull out the other side of the fort. As they leave, Annie notices that someone is watching them go. Once outside the city, as they heave from being inside the cart titan's mouth, Onyinkopin asks when they joined forces with Marley, and Jean reveals it was only the night before. Onyinkopin is surprised because Jean could have had a nice life with the Jaderists, and Jean knows that, but if he did, a pile of bones would not leave him alone. Apart from them, Yelena wonders why she was spared, and Hang reveals that it was a request from the Marleyans to secure their cooperation. Elsewhere, Annie rudely awakens Reiner. He discovers his former comrades have found him, although Gabby and Falco assure him that they are all allies now. Connie tells him that they are going to save the world. Episode 9. The night before, while most people are asleep, Hang Zoe interrupts Jean Kirstein's fantasy of a pleasant life in the interior to call him out for a meeting. Despite his misgivings, he goes out to meet Hang and Mikasa Ackerman, who brings them up to speed on Levi Ackerman's condition and their new alliance with some stragglers from Marley. Hang plans on stopping Eren Jaeger's plans for genocide, but first they will need more allies. Mikasa is immediately in, but Jean is concerned about the aftermath, since even if they stop him, the world will still hate Eldians, and Eren will only retain the founding titan for another 4 years. They have been looking for a peaceful solution for years and failed, which is why Eren is taking this path in the first place. Hang acknowledges the shortcomings and hoping to buy time against the rest of the world, but refuses to believe genocide is the answer. They acknowledge their own shortcomings might have pushed Eren onto this path, but as commander of the scout regiment they still feel responsible for carrying on the dream of all their fallen comrades, many of whom never got to learn the truth of their world. Hang believes that the fallen scouts would not have supported the philosophy that the rest of the world could be trampled as long as the island remains free. Remembering Marco Bate's death, Jean agrees to follow them, acknowledging that he will always be a scout. In the present, it is evening and the mixed group of scouts and members of the Marleyan military are gathered awkwardly around a campfire. Theo Magath is curious as to why the scouts would work to stop Eren, since his success would give them their ideal world, a paradise. Hang reiterates that they are against genocide. Magath interprets that as them finally finding a sense of justice, which provokes Jean, who demands to know if they are devils for merely trying to avoid being devoured by the titans which Marley left wandering about Paradise Island. Magath, however, does not back down, pointing out that as people feared, the rumbling became true, and now the world over is in danger. The two reach further into history to justify their positions until Hang interrupts to say that it is silly to talk about a past none of them witnessed. They explain to Magath that for a few months, the scouts lived in the outside world, so they can no longer go back to being ignorant island devils. Changing the topic, Annie Leonhardt asks the scouts if they are capable of killing Eren. Mikasa and Armin Arlelt insist they would talk with Eren first, but Annie pushes for an answer in the event that diplomacy fails. Annie believes that if Marley then moves to kill Eren, the scouts will defend him and 2 teams will fight. She accuses Mikasa of being unable to think of anything as being more important than Eren. This provokes Mikasa enough for her to take a combative stance, and Annie readies her ring blade, but she tells Mikasa that she understands her feelings because the only reason she wants to stop Eren is to save her father and Marley. If Mikasa and the others can change Eren's mind, Annie would be content with that, and asks they do not fight each other until they have a chance to try. Mikasa agrees. As the group eats, Hang explains that it will be 5 hours via horseback to the port where Kiyomi Azumabito has a flying boat that is intended to be used to observe the rumbling. They should be able to use it to get close to the founding titan, but they would need to figure where Eren is going to avoid running out of fuel. Though the group questions Yelena, she insists she has no idea where Eren would go. When Connie Springer suggests that she might want to help the homeland she was trying to free from Marley, Magath and Pikefinger reveal that Yelena is actually a disillusioned Marleyan who spun a story about saving the world with the man she believed in after meeting Zeke Yeager. Yelena does not deny it and asks if there are any sweeter words than saving the world. She reminds Reiner Braun of how he broke through Wall Maria, causing countless Eldians to die in pursuit of saving the world, and brings up Armin's transformation into the colossal titan in Liberio, and how it killed both military and civilians alike. But after she lists a number of crimes on both sides, Jean exhales in satisfaction and asks Hang for another helping of stew. He thanks Yelena for putting everything out in the open, so they can sort through their differences. Undeterred, she brings up Marco and Annie's involvement in his death. She suggests that Jean may want to ask for the truth about it. Annie begins to say that she took away Marco's omnidirectional mobility gear, but Reiner interrupts to say she did it on his orders. He explains that Marco overheard him and Berthold Hoover, and he figured the best way to prevent Marco from spreading what he had learned was to have him eaten by a titan. Jean asks if Marco had any last words, and Reiner tells him it was that they had not talked things through. Jean understands. It has been the lack of talking, which has placed them at war with each other, for so long. Hang says they are making progress though, because they are talking now. Reiner goes on to explain his conflicted feelings on the matter, and how he ended up killing the Titan that was eating Marco, but Jean does not want to hear about Reiner's guilt. Undeterred, Reiner insists that what he did was unforgivable and apologizes. Now agitated, Jean punches Reiner onto the ground, and begins beating him until he is pulled off by Connie and Armin. He kicks Reiner twice, but ends up hitting Gabby Braun instead when she tries to protect him from Jean's second kick. Gabby apologizes in Reiner's stead, emphasizing how they hoped the destruction of the island would lead to the world forgiving them. She begs the scouts to help them, because she wants to save her family still back in Liberio. Falco Grice joins in her plea and Jean calms enough to ask the others to let him go. He walks off without explanation and Gabby despairs that her hopes have fallen on deaf ears. In the morning, Jean rouses Gabby, who is surprised he returned. He tells her he is going to help, and then moves on to rouse Reiner, saying the man should have healed by now. The group sets off by wagon for the port. On the way, Jean apologizes to Gabby for kicking her, but tells Reiner that he will not apologize to him for what he did. Reiner is fine with that. The wagons are then brought up short by the arrival of the cart Titan. Pike has scouted the port and it is in control of the Jagerists. They must have gone ahead using the steam engine and they are currently prepared for battle, with soldiers equipped with anti-Titan gear. Inside the harbor, Floke Forster stands behind a captive Comey with a pistol in hand. Episode 10. Hang Zoe and Theo, Maggot survey the Jagerist-occupied port and find it odd that the Jagerists have not yet destroyed the flying boat. Possibilities range from no longer thinking Hang's soldiers and the remaining Marleyan forces are a threat to not wanting to avoid losing valuable technology that would be difficult to replace following the destruction of most of the world. However, Hang is certain the Jagerists will destroy it the instant they learn the combined group is there, and it will be difficult to stop them even with some of the 9 Titans. Behind them, Annie Leonhardt emphasizes to the others that they will need to take out all their enemies simultaneously in order to avoid the destruction of the flying boat, but Mikasa Ackerman advocates caution to avoid endangering the Azumabito family. Pikefinger and Onionkopen agree. While Onionkopen could pilot the flying boat on his own, the Azumabito engineers are needed to service it and prepare it for flight. Annie then repositions her argument, suggesting that the scouts portion of their group wishes for them to hold off the enemy while the Azumabito prepare the flying boat for takeoff in addition to not killing any of the Jagerists. Jean Kirstein admits he would like that if possible, so Annie pushes them, particularly Armin Arlo, to suggest a plan that allows for it. Pike says that such a plan does not exist. They either wipe out the Jagerists or they lose the flying boat, which causes Connie Springer to protest that they did not come here to kill their friends. This causes Annie to conclude with resignation that it is too much to ask of people like them, suggesting that if it had been them sent to Parody Island instead of the warriors they never would have broken the walls. Reiner Braun suggests that Jean, Mikasa, Armin, and Connie wait in hiding with Gabby and Falco Grice so they are not spotted by the Jagerists and forced into confronting them. This does not sit easily with Jean or Connie, but before more can be made of it, Hang returns with Magath and tells them they will not be spectating. The Wall Titans have crossed the ocean and the world does not have much time. Hang suspects they have already arrived in Marley and the first cities have been destroyed. Magath pushes his way over to Yelena and begins suffocating her as he demands to know where Eren Yeager is heading. He breaks her arm before stepping back and Yelena gasps that she has changed her mind. She does not want to die before seeing how things end and will consider talking under the condition that they bring her with them. Hang and Onionkopen remind Magath that their priority right now is the boat, and on spotting Gabby watching them, he backs down and apologizes to the scouts for his behavior the night before. Magath explains that he had been trying to justify his own actions to himself, rather than seeing them as part of the vileness of his own country, and he recognizes now that the scouts are not at fault for anything their ancestors did. Nor, for that matter, are the warriors. What they need to do is remember this history and turn away from all this killing, so it does not happen again, which is why what Eren is doing is unforgivable. He bows to the scouts, asking them to overlook the current bloodshed until it is over. Armin refuses, saying that he will not stand by with clean hands. Inside a port building, Floke Forster marvels at the thought of a new beginning for the world to a captive Komi Azumabito. He tells her and her engineers to focus on contributing to the island, at least if she does not want to lose any more of them. Komi, however, warns him that Parody Island will not necessarily be made safer by the change. The world will be smaller, but people will still kill each other. Floke thanks her and says that he himself has been arriving at that same conclusion, but points a gun at her temple, warning Komi that she could be gotten rid of if they decide that seafaring and flying boats no longer matter to them. He begins to remind her of her place, when he is interrupted by a shout from Armin, who is outside on horseback with Connie. Armin claims he has been chasing the cart Titan and that it is currently swimming away along with the armored Titan. He asks that the Azumabito ready the flying boat, so they can chase after them. Armin and Connie ride up to the flying boat where they are stopped by Daz and Samuel Link Jackson. The flying boat's tarp is strapped with explosives. Armin asks for them to be removed, but Samuel brings up the rumors that the two have joined forces with Marley. They deny it, which Samuel finds a relief, and they continue to press for the explosives removal. Dez disconnects them from the detonator, but notices Armin and Kenny's unease as they wait and hope for the Azumabito engineers to come. After a quick assessment of their story and actions, however, Floke is suspicious of Armin's and Connie's claims, noting that it would have been faster for them to come via locomotive rather than horseback if they were so certain of their enemy's destination, and questions what they have been up to since their last communication, and why they have been in incommunicado. He concludes that he has no proof either way, but decides that this much suspicion with lack of satisfactory answers is troubling and it is best to stop trouble before it starts, and lifts his gun. Before he can kill the Haru engineers, Kilmi forces him to the floor, so his shots go wild. Jadrists run into the room to suppress her, but Mikasa crashes through a window to stop them. Floke escapes out another window and shouts to the Jadrists to kill Mikasa, Armin, and Connie as traitors. As the Jadrists rally, Mikasa hurries Kilmi and the engineers to the basement, where they cannot be attacked through windows, and they meet up with Magath, Hang, and Jean along the way. At the dock, Daz moves to reconnect the explosives to the detonator. Armin tries to stop him, but is shot by Samuel, who then trains his gun on Connie. He urges Daz to hurry and blow up the flying boat. Connie tries to speak to Samuel, but Samuel is overcome with feelings of betrayal and laments at coming to this. Though Kilmi worries about being trapped in the basement with no escape after following Magath, he assures her this is for the best so that the others can fight without worrying about their safety. Outside, Reiner and Annie transform into the armored and female titans and begin attacking the Jadrists. In the middle of the fighting, Connie manages to tackle Samuel and struggles to wrestle his gun away from him. Armin begins to revive and pushes Daz off the detonator, causing the latter to point his gun at him. Samuel protests, asking if they are friends. Connie agrees they are, but seeing Armin about to be killed, he recalls Berthold Hoover's words about how sometimes someone has to be the one to stain their hands with blood. He wrestles away Samuel's gun and shoots Daz in the head, killing him. Connie then shoots Samuel several times to kill him as well. Episode 11. Armin Arlott watches Daz's body sink into the sea after being shot by Connie Springer. As Connie comes to grips from having killed Samuel, Link Jackson as well, the battle between the Jadrists and the female and armored titans rages on throughout the port. From their shelter, partially below ground, Hangzhou learns for the first time from one of the Azumabito mechanics that it normally takes them a full day to prepare the flying boat for flight. With the right equipment they could get it down to half a day, but aside from the enormity of asking the Titans to buy time for half a day, Hang knows that in half a day, the Wall Titans could cover 600 kilometers from the coast. That would mean doom for Liberio. Theo Magath also recognizes that even if they get the flying boat into the air, they still need to find Eren Yeager, which will take even more time. Hearing this, Kilmi Azumabito has a suggestion. She proposes going to the coastal city of Oda in Marley where the Azumabito family owns a hangar. They could leave the port immediately, towing the flying boat behind them to Oda, and service the boat there. Kilmi believes they can arrive there before the rumbling does, but cannot guarantee it will last more than half a day. Magath agrees to the plan, since it will otherwise remain impossible to use the flying boat, and urges the engineers to get their ship ready in 15 minutes for the sake of their country and the rest of the world. Hang then runs out to inform Mikasa Ackerman of their plans, and Jean Kirstein goes to retrieve those of their group who are waiting outside the port. Having gotten the message, Mikasa then notifies Annie Leonhardt and Reiner Braun of the change in plans and informs them to protect the Azamabitos. Floke Forster spots Kilmi and the mechanics, making a dash to the ship and tries to have them killed, but is stopped by Mikasa and Hang. Annie and Reiner use their Titans' bodies to block the Jadrists' many attempts to kill the Azumabitos, and after Annie's female Titan loses an arm, Reiner takes multiple thunder spears to the face in order to protect her. Floke figures out that the group intends to service the flying boat on the mainland and urges the Jadrists to sink the Azumabito ship. Further away from the fighting, the non-combatant group of Yelena, Onion Koppen, Levi Ackerman, Gabby Braun, and Falco Grice has assembled riding Pike Finger's Cart Titan. Seeing how much the two Titans are struggling, Falco suggests fighting with his new power as the Jaw Titan. Pike tells him it is a bad idea and that the first transformation never goes well. She says that instead she will join the battle after getting all of them to the ship. Falco is disappointed and wishes Porco Galliard was around instead, since he would not sit around worrying about what to do. Mind made up, Falco jumps off Pike's back and runs towards the battle. Gabby calls after him, but Pike lifts her Titan's head to tip her out of sight and tells her that she needs to get them to the ship. Meanwhile, Magath urges the mechanics on board and sees Connie helping an injured Armin walk. Connie leaves Armin in Magath's care while he draws his blades to defend the ship. Pike then arrives with her passengers and informs Magath about Falco. As Anyik and Pan and the mechanics shovel and coal to start up the ship, Hang spots a train with Jadrist reinforcements heading towards the port, but it is bombed before it can pull in, to the shock of everyone at the port. With his reinforcements gone, Floke is stunned but tells his soldiers to keep fighting. Elsewhere, Jean finds Falco, who is busy scraping his bloody hand with a nail in an attempt to transform. Jean tells Falco to get on the ship and Falco initially agrees, but then he sees the female and armored Titans, who are being subdued by thunder spears. Jean leaves to join Connie and Mikasa in defending them, and Pike joins the fight as well. Falco then charges into the chaos and transforms into the Jaw Titan. The Jadrists break ranks in the mayhem and the scouts realize this is their chance to head for the ship. Seeing the direction the battle is heading, Floke barrels through the scouts, and past both the Jaw and Cart Titans, in order to aim a thunder spear at the Azumabito ship in desperation. However, just before he pulls the trigger, he is shot by Gabby from the deck of the ship, sending his spear off target into the water. Floke himself also lands in the water and sinks below the surface. The tide of battle turns against the Jadrists, and the ship's horn sounds as Onin Koppen shouts that they are ready to leave. Falco, however, is out of control even though there are no longer any enemies for him to fight. He attacks Pike, pinning her Cart Titan beneath him. Understanding what is happening, Magath runs over with a blade and calls for Pike to hold Falco still. While she does, Magath precisely cuts open the Jaw Titan's nape and pulls Falco out of his Titan, subduing it. Now that the battle is over, the motley group heads for the ship, former enemies leaning on each other. Along the way, Magath hands an unconscious Falco over to Unraveling and tells him to leave immediately. He intends to stay behind to hold the rear. As the ship leaves, Magath runs through the port, eyeing a captured Marleyan cruiser. A couple of surviving Jaderists spot him and open fire, but are cut down by Keith Sadie's, who reveals he was the one who took out the train of reinforcements. When Keith asks why he is still here, Magath explains that he wants to destroy the cruiser in order to prevent any pursuit. Keith agrees to give him a hand. The two of them make it down into the belly of the ship, where Magath prepares to light the gunpowder stored in the ship's magazine and suggests this is Keith's last chance to leave. Keith, standing guard at the door, declines, saying that he has been looking for a good time to die. The two men talk about the young people who have been in their charge, and how they inspired them. Though Magath refuses to take any credit given what he had put the warriors through, Keith thinks the children would be proud of him. By now, the Jaderists have found them and begin pounding on the door. Magath thanks Keith and the two men exchange their names. Then Magath ignites the gunpowder. The Marleyan cruiser explodes and begins to sink, killing them and all the Jaderists on board. On the departing ship, those on the deck observe the explosion, and are sad about Magath's sacrifice. Inside, Hang informs Annie and Reiner that their journey will take them to Oda, and not Liberio, which they will not be able to save in time. Annie collapses, saying that now her reason for fighting is gone and she wants to leave the ship. Hang tries to mitigate this, telling Annie that Magath understood this as well, but still gave his life so they could continue and save others. Dispirited, Annie asks Mikasa one more time whether she could kill Eren, or if she could stand by and watch if Annie tried to do the same. Mikasa is silent, and Annie admits that she is tired of all the violence, and does not want to keep fighting her and the other scouts, not even Eren. Episode 12. As the group trying to stop Eren Yeager travels to Oda, Mikasa Ackerman ponders whether Eren has truly changed. She comes to realize that he may have always been this way, and wonders what she saw in him. Mikasa remembers how the scout regiment arrives in Marley for the first time, disguised as ordinary citizens, and how they marvel at seeing a city outside the walls. Onyankopon greets them and offers to take them to Kiyomi Azumabito's place, but before they can get anywhere, Hang Zoe, Connie Springer, and Sasha Braz are distracted by a car, which they have never seen before. Mikasa asks Eren to stay close to her since they do not know what to expect, but notices that he seems to be staring off into the distance. Armin Arlo runs up to Eren and also tries bringing him back to reality, remarking on how they are finally in the outside world, to which Eren distractedly agrees that they are on the other side of the sea. Overall, the group does not succeed in not standing out, but Hang is amused and comments on how at least they will not be seen as island devils. One by one the younger members of the Scouts succumb to trying out ice cream, and Mikasa offers a taste to Eren, who recognizes it from his father's memories. Eldians in the Interman Zone rarely get to eat any. A pickpocket steals Sasha's purse, but is caught by Levi Ackerman. The boy is clearly an immigrant and unwelcome in Marley, with passersby declaring that he must have snuck aboard a ship. The hostile crowd suggests tossing him into the sea or smashing his hand as punishment. Sasha speaks up in the boy's defense, saying she got her money back, but the mob is set on making an example out of him, adding that he could be a subject of Emir. Levi grabs the boy and prepares to leave with him. He tells the crowd that he never called him a thief, and only said that it was not the boy's purse. He says it belongs to the boy's older sister, which he says is Sasha. Hang then steps forward to back up the story and Sasha plays along. The crowd does not buy it, causing Levi and the others to make a break for it. They finally stop running at the outskirts of the city where the boy slips away and waves in farewell, having taken Levi's money. Kiyomi apologizes for what they went through when they finally arrive at her estate. She explains that as blood testing improves, countries are finding more subjects of Emir among them. Because of other nations' fear of Eldians, she thinks it will be difficult for the Scouts to establish friendly relations with them. Armin says they need to try regardless, because if they give up on peace, then they will have to go along with Zeke Jager's proposal to sacrifice Historia Rice and her children to hold off the rest of the world with the threat of the rumbling. Hang agrees and brings up the subjects of Emir Protection Group that is holding a forum the next day. They plan to observe them and see if they could become potential allies for Parody Island. Hang acknowledges the odds are both difficult and dangerous, but feels they have to try. It is at that moment that Mikasa realizes that Eren has left the room. A tear runs down Eren's face as he looks at a migrant camp beneath the nighttime sky. Mikasa catches up to him, warning him that he is their enemy's primary target, but then she sees what he was looking at. The pickpocket is in the camp below, and waving up to them. When she asks what happened, Eren cryptically replies nothing yet. He describes the camp to Mikasa as a place for people who have lost their homes to war. He compares their situation to that of the islanders. One day their lives changed, and everything was taken from them. Eren asks Mikasa why she cares about him so much, if it is because he saved her when they were children, or because they are family. Mikasa becomes flustered as Eren pushes, asking what he is to her, and she finally stammers that they are family. Just then, an elderly man from the camp invites them to have a drink, and the rest of their companions catch up to them. The entire group goes to the camp, and despite not knowing the language, they enjoy the food, drink, and company of the migrants. When Hang, Levi, and Onyankopon find them, the group is largely passed out on the floor of the main tent. The next day, the Scouts attend the forum held by the subjects of Emir Protection Group. Their speaker announces their plan to aid refugee subjects of Ymir, painting them as victims of the Eldian Empire's forced interbreeding, but also directs the group's hate towards Parody Island. When he calls the island their true enemy, the crowd applauds. At that moment, Eren leaves the group, and Mikasa in the present refers to that day as the day Eren left them. The letters he sent the scouts, after that, said he would trust in Zek's plan. Mikasa wonders if there was any other choice they could have made, or if everything had been decided from the start. She wonders how things might have played out if she had given Eren a different answer. Elsewhere, Eren wonders where this all began. He recalls meeting with Yelena and hearing about Zek's euthanasia plan. He also told Floke Forster that the two of them should pretend to go along with Zek's plan, but in reality Eren plans to destroy the world and all their enemies. Eren then spoke with Historia, warning her that the Miliary police were pushing to turn her into a Titan to eat Zeke, but Historia did not intend on fighting them or running away. If it was the best chance for the island's survival, she would do it. However, even though she was fine with it, Eren declared that he was not. Historia opposed Eren's plan to use the rumbling on the rest of the world, comparing their deaths to that of his mother. Eren agreed about the senselessness of their deaths, but said it is the only way to end the cycle of revenge and hate. When Historia said she would not be able to live with herself if she did not try to stop him, Eren then offers to erase her memories once he had control of the Founder, to which Historia replies by asking him about the possibility of her having a child. In Marley, Eren met with Zeke and asked about Mikasa's headaches. Zeke had never heard of any illnesses specific to the Ackermans. He does not believe there is any proof they are driven to protect a host. Zeke thinks Mikasa's devotion to Eren is simply because she likes him. When Zeke asks Eren what he would say to her, Eren replies that he has only 4 years left to live. However, even after he is gone, he wants his friends to live happy lives. In the present, a global fleet prepares to meet the army of wall titans crossing the sea. They fire on the swimming titans, but it is not enough. When the titans swim under their ships, the steam is enough to cook the crews alive and hurls the ships into the air. Another line of defense in the form of artillery on the shore greets the wall titans as they emerge from the sea, but it is similarly ineffective, and the soldiers manning them abandon their posts and run. As they flee, a few turn around and see an even larger titan following the wall titans and declare that the attack titan has come. As Eren marches into Marley, he remembers his mother's death and the vow he made that day to keep pushing forward without stopping until he destroys every last one of his enemies in the world, while the wall titans make landfall and begin the destruction of Marley.